The White House speaks, James Monroe moves in. After being burned to a crisp thanks to the British, still bitter about that, by the way, I am finally back in working order when James Monroe arrives in 1817. Monroe steps into my newly rebuilt halls, looking every bit the war hero turned president. He's got that calm, competent air that says, I fought at Trenton and survived being shot in the shoulder so I can handle this. I appreciate him immediately. After all, I just spent 3 years as a charred skeleton. I need a stable, reliable president. And Monroe delivers. No drama, no slipper shuffling, no horses in my East Room. Just solid, steady leadership. His wife, Elizabeth, is different from Dolly Madison, quieter, more reserved, but with a very particular sense of refinement. She loves French style, thanks to all the time they spent in Europe, and decides I need to look more like a European palace. So out go the simple furnishings, and in come fancy French furniture, gilded mirrors, and velvet drapes. Monroe is a man of order and elegance, and his White House must reflect that. At first, things are surprisingly peaceful. Monroe's presidency is called the era of good feelings because for once Americans are not constantly screaming at each other. He goes on a big tour of the country, people cheer for him, and everything seems fine. But let's not get too comfortable. First, Spain is terrible at keeping track of Florida, so Monroe just takes it. He sends Andrew Jackson down there, and before anyone can say, wait, is this legal? Florida belongs to the U.S. Then comes his biggest move, the Monroe Doctrine. Now, Monroe was not a flashy guy, but when he lays down this policy in 1823, he might as well have slammed a tankard on the table and shouted, no more Europeans meddling in the Americas. Essentially, he tells Europe, stay out of our backyard, and we'll stay out of yours. Do I, the White House, understand international diplomacy? No. Do I recognize a power move when I hear one? Absolutely. By the time his presidency ends in 1825, Monroe is exhausted. He has worked tirelessly to keep the country stable and broke himself in the process, literally. He spends his final years in debt, which is pretty insulting considering how much he did for the country. On his last day in office, he walks through my halls one last time, running a hand along my newly polished walls. He sighs. I hope they take good care of you. Monroe, I wish. The next guy moving in is John Quincy Adams. And let me tell you, that's a whole different story.